Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Merlin, and welcome to another session of our LinkedIn Live series, Low Code Perspectives. It's an exclusive series where we bring in tech enthusiasts and industry experts to share their thoughts, experiences, and all things on low code. Today, we have with us Hans Conings, co founder of Aziri, a Zoho partner, and we're going to be discussing on how to define successful low code adoption strategies today. But before that, we need to know a little bit more about Hans. So, Hans, can you please tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. As you said, I'm a co-founder at Aziri. We started 6 years ago with the idea we want to use low-code and no-code platforms because we really believe in the vision behind it. We really believe that companies should be able to define their software as they wanted to have and not let the software dictate how their processes should go. So we have the feeling that low code is a great platform for that. And this way we started like, I think 4 years ago working with Zoho, and we really enjoyed the journey so far.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. We're very excited to learn a lot of things from you today. So, without further ado, I'll jump into our first question. What do you think are the primary drivers for adopting low code in any organization, Hans? Like, what do you think pushes organizations to, look into adopting low code as a solution?
I think 2 points, and especially the combination of these two. These are speed and flexibility. First point, like speed, you have a lot of business needs in your companies, and we see a lot of like bigger companies that have IT departments have a backlog of like 50, 100 business IDs that they need to develop. And if they're using custom code, they don't have the speed to deliver on it. So they need to pick the high priority cases and develop them. So if you're doing like custom code, you don't have the speed, but you have the flexibility. You can like build whatever you want. You don't have extra features yet that you don't need. So that's one point. If you look at standard software, you have like so many solutions, business solutions for like everything. So probably every use case that your business user is asking for, there's a solution for that. But then you don't have the flexibility. So there can be some specific feature that you need that aren't in this software this is the supplier is providing, or you have a lot of features that you're paying for that you don't need. So then we are looking at low code, and low code has both of them. You can like build whatever you want. In a day, you have an application built, and you have the speed. So you can like adopt whatever is needed for the business and develop it along the way.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think definitely the speed of development is definitely a key factor in a lot of organizations looking to move to low code. But in this process, right, when they are trying to adopt low code, they do face a lot of challenges, right? Because it's like still a new technology for them. What do you think these challenges are like? If you could say like top three challenges or five. Whatever number you like to share. What do you think is the challenges that you think these organizations face when they are trying to bring in low code into their system?
Yeah, if I take the example of the IT teams that have a backlog of 50 or 100, now they can't deliver on it. They need to select like 5 cases that are really urgent, and they need to build it. Because of low code, they are able to deliver a lot more. So maybe they can deliver 50 solutions in once with their IT team. And that's also a big risk. You need to be very selective still about the business needs. And you don't want like, because of you have this speed, you can build a lot of things, but you also keep in mind that you still need to support the end users. They will have new feature requests. And if you then have like 50 apps built, you have feature requests for 50 apps. So my advice is most of the time, like start small, start with one application, make it like MVP wise, minimal viable product. Just try to find what is really the need of the business. Try to release it as soon as possible, and then start adding extra features. And actually, that's really hard to do, because if you can show it to, we do a lot of projects in the Zoho Creator, and we have most of the time our projects have a duration of a couple of weeks. And if we show the result to a company in the first week, they have the feeling like, oh, it's already done. And then they start thinking about new features. And this is the hardest part actually of our job, to say like, no, please stick to just the things you need, because the more features you are putting in there, the harder it will get for your end users to start working with it, because they're all like overwhelmed with all the things that are possible. So that's the disadvantage of getting really fast. You really should stick to the basics first, and then you can add more functionalities to your first solution. And then in the next phase, you can start making new solutions, but still be very critical on what you will build for your end users and what not.
Yeah, you're right. So one thing I've seen with organization, or like when we've spoken to customers, or trying to showcase low code as a solution for them, right? Like the resistance to change, like because a lot of organizations are now already in they have something digital going on. I think with COVID happening and everything, remote work and everything, a lot of organizations have picked up this. Digital tools to kind of automate their systems, right? And this resistance to change is something, especially big organization, right? Because they already have a system, they don't want to kind of change it and stuff. So do you have any strategies for driving adoption in such cases, like where there are organizations that are resisting to change, or they're like kind of content with their old systems, but you can do more with new systems being introduced? So what would you say, what is your strategy in situations like this?
Yeah, maybe first point, COVID actually made some companies to digitalize processes, but Excel is not digitalized processes. We see a lot of companies, they say like, oh, we do it in a digital way and we have Excel in the cloud. That's not really a good solution, to be honest. For some things it is, but for many things it is not. So that's not a solution. And then we say you don't have really a proper solution. You just have Excel in the cloud. But there are definitely some things you need to overcome. I think if we make the division between business users and you have IT, right? Business users, they are only looking at their job and what they need to do their job properly. And they just look at one need that they have, and they try to find a solution for that. The easiest way to get that solution is to Google it. And let's say I need planning software, I will Google planning software, and I probably will find hundreds of tools. And that's okay. But if you have hundreds of business users doing that, you end up with hundreds of software licenses you need to pay for and need to integrate with each other, because you have your planning software, but you want to integrate it with your ERP system because you need your projects in the planning software and things like that. And that makes it, from an individual perspective of a business user, it's logic to just find a solution. And it's less logic to look for a platform that is covering all the needs of all the business users in the company. So that's a hard selling point actually for the local platform, because they can cover it all, but you can't say oh, I do it all for all these use cases. So you need to tell them everything your business is asking for, not everything, but most cases, you probably can build in a local platform. There are specific things that you don't want to build in a local platform, things like 3D visualizations and stuff, or games. You're never going to build that in a local platform. But most of the business processes you can build in a local platform, but you need to help them to see it and you don't, most of the time, we don't have the product already ready to use. So you need to show them other examples of other apps. For example, I was yesterday with a potential client who said, like, I need a planning software. That was my idea when they were Googling, and they already had like an idea, like, we want to use this standard software. But there was a very clever IT manager who said, like, if I'm going to implement every software that a business user is asking for, I will end up with hundreds of solutions. And then we have like licenses for all these softwares, and we need to integrate that, and it will be a nightmare. So his strategy was, and I think it's a very clever one, is like, we need a platform where we can like connect all these solutions and build all these solutions so they can talk to each other. Business users are like used to the interface of the platform. We can do central user management, things like that. So this is one of the biggest challenges. I think we need to tell the business user, like, stop looking at like specific point solutions and think broadly and think, what does the company need? And the company needs a lot of solutions, and we can build that on one platform. And I think there the role of an IT manager comes in, and he needs to believe in the vision of this. But when he does, I think it's a big advantage for the company in general, because then they only pay for one license. And they have a variety of solutions they can build.
Yeah.
This is the business side. I think for the IT manager, it's not that easy, because he probably will also have, if he has an IT team, he also has some people that sometimes need some convincing also there, because in general, we see like hardcore developers who are like coding in Python, C#, are more critical about low code. And they need also some convincing, but if they are working in a platform, most of the time in like a couple of days, they see the advantage of like having results so quickly, instead of like building it for months and months and then say, ta-da, here's your solution. And the business goes like, oh, that's not actually what I was expecting. Then it's so more rewarding if you can sit together and as an ITer with a business user and say like, oh, we can just drag and drop a field and let's add a column to that. And we're going to define the business flow here as we are sitting together. That's really rewarding. And I think that's a big advantage of low code, but we need to convince them, like take them over the step, and then it's going further from there. I think it will manage if an IT manager takes the lead in that.
Okay, good that you spoke about the IT manager, because my next question was about what role does leadership play in kind of making that decision for the organization, right? Because we have to go through a lot of leadership or like people to get that approval, right? Like for even like the smallest of technology involvement. So you brought up IT manager. So like how do you think the role of leadership come into picture in a low code adoption, or when a for a successful implementation, right? How crucial is the role of leadership? It could be an IT manager or a CTO, or just the department manager wanting that solution. So how do you think the role takes place in this whole process?
Yeah, I think that's the overview of all the business needs. So if it is an IT manager or whatever manager you have, he probably has like all these requests coming in, and he sees like the business needs and the flows that are going through his company. And I hope he realized like there are a lot of digital needs, and then he needs to know the existence of low code, because if he knows, and if he just like try to cover that need in one day in a platform, I'm sure this if it is an IT manager or a commercial manager or whatever, he will be convinced that this is something they can make their solutions with. They still need to be they still need to think about, do we need something to build something custom, or are we implementing it in our standard ERP, let's say? Let's say they have standard software. First thing I'm always saying to the client, why aren't you doing this in your standard ERP system? If they don't have one, like, why should you build your own ERP system? Because there are already existing ones. And if you are asking these questions, most of the time you get like the arguments, like things like, oh, but we can't find this exact feature and we really need it because that's our unique business value. So if we don't need it, yeah, then why are we different from our competitors? So you really need to like guide the manager to the arguments that he's needing for convincing the business and the IT. And as he has the arguments and he sees the needs, then probably it's a no-brainer to say like, oh, let's look at low code and see what it brings to us as a company. So you need someone who has the vision to say like, okay, we're going there, let's look at it. Sometimes you have like in projects, you always have issues. That's not different with low code. You also have issues. That's not a technology thing, but it can be of people. And then some people start doubting the platform or start doubting the strategy. And then you need someone who's saying like, oh no, we're going forward and we're going to see where it ends up. Most of the time, if you have someone with a vision, and that's pretty great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Like they do play a crucial role in like, kind of bringing that system in place. So I think, yeah, having them understand it or have an idea about it is very important to even pitch, that this is a good idea for us to implement. So now that we've spoken about about implementation and the strategies around it, now I want to know, how do you measure a successful low code initiative, right? Like, let's just say any of the solutions you've built and stuff. How do you define it as a success story? What is like the key factor there?
Well, the most important thing for us is if the end users are happy, then most of the time that reflects on everything. So that's also an important one. In if you're like, I think any IT project, it's not specific for low code, but you need to be sure that you're talking to the end users' needs, and that's to the needs that a manager thinks that is the need. Sometimes we have like clients that are saying like, we need to do it like this. And then we bring it to the end user, and the end user says like, he has no idea what we are doing because this is not our need. So it starts with the acceptance of the end user. I think that's a big one to measure success. Another point I want to make is failure is also a success. If you have like an idea or a concept or an initiative that you want to digitalize, and you do it by low code, then you can test the idea in only a couple of days, and then you can say like, maybe it was a bad idea, and that's okay. Then you didn't spend thousands of dollars on the new idea and then flush it down the drain. Like you only spend a couple of days on it, and that's okay. Then you know that it was a bad idea, and then you can leave it behind you. So that's also a success of low code, I think.
Oh, that's a very interesting perspective. I've never really heard this from anyone. So that's a really cool perspective on the success of a low code initiative. Now that we've spoken about low code and what it can do, if someone is, let's just say, someone who's listening to our conversation wants to explore low code, what do you think the key features or capabilities they should look for in a low code platform that you think would work, would be an ideal platform for them to use?
Yeah, speed is definitely one of them. Speed is the main thing why we use low code. So this is one of the top priorities, I would say. If we are looking at the low code perspective, I think it's really important that it is possible to use the platform as a not IT. So you should be possible to make the application without having knowledge of any scripting language or without of knowing JavaScript or whatever. And we use that a lot, by the way, because we do a lot of projects together with our clients, and it's like so liberating if they can say like, oh, we need an extra field, or we need an extra input, or we need an extra whatever column in our overview, or an extra KPI, and they can do it themselves. They don't have like to do a feature request with us, and then we gonna plan that, and then in 2 weeks we deliver it. No, they just can do it by themselves if they need it. So that's another one. So we had speed, we had like citizen developer, as it's called. I think a non-brainer is it needs to be web-based. You still have these platforms where you like locally make your app and then push it to the cloud or something. I think those times are over. Also, mobile features are important for us. We see a lot of companies that in first phase only think about desktop use. And then whenever the app is released, then they come to the idea like, oh, it should be convenient that we can use this on the road. It's not like most of the time, not the first reflection they make. First, it's like we're sitting at our desk and we need to do our job. But then they realize, oh yeah, sometimes we're not sitting at our desk, and then it would be great that we can still do our job. So that's a point we're always looking into. And maybe the last one is we call it the escape edge, the possibility to write code if you need it. I think especially Zoho Creator is good in that. You have this feature of widgets where I just code. And most of the time it's not necessary because it delivers so many features out of the box. But there are cases that you say like, it would be very great if we had like this interface, and then you can just write it and you're not blocked in any way. And I think that's a really important one if you want to convince your end users like this is a great app, and they say like, oh, I'm just saying some things like a drag and drop interface or something like that. You can still deliver it, although it's with code. If that's only 5% of your complete application, then it's okay. Why shouldn't you, like, to deliver that last business need, write some code on top of it?
Okay. Yeah, those are really important features. You brought up Creator as well. So, you do use Creator on a regular basis, right? Like, if you could like pick your top two features of Creator, what would it be? Or like top two feature that you like or that you use mostly when you're building solutions for your clients? What would those two be?
I think the mobile app of Zoho Creator is really great. One thing I show a lot, and that's really awesome. You can take on the mobile app, you can take a picture and make annotations on it. So you can like draw an arrow or write some text on it. That's in so many use cases useful. If you have like, if you need to take a picture, it's probably that you need some evidence or need to get some attention to it. And then you can like draw things on the photo. That's so nice that you can do that. So that's one main thing I really like. The other thing is we are focusing on Zoho Creator. So we as a partner, we don't actually do other products of Zoho, but sometimes we do, and actually a lot of times we do, but not as a focus like we're gonna implement Zoho CRM, for example, but more as a for example, we need a document, and a really complex document. It contains 100 photos, and we need a complex UI on the document. It generates a PDF. Yeah, then we can use Zoho Writer to accomplish that. And if the document contains a lot of photos, you need to save it somewhere. And then Zoho Work Drive is interesting because you don't need like to keep all this data in your application. It causes like it's getting slow and things. No, you can just save it somewhere in a cloud storage of Zoho. So although we're not focusing on any other Zoho product as creator, it's nice to have these extra products that Zoho has, the integrate greatly, and we just can use them for really specific needs. So I really like that.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool actually, right? Like so many things you can do with the platform, not just like application with like our integrations and everything, kind of bring in other software also to, use for other organizations. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now that we've spoken about you as like you told how you're using Creator the most as a Zoho partner, I think you're more of a Zoho Creator partner at this point. So can you please tell us a little bit about your role as a Zoho partner or a Zoho developer, right? Like what is it like on a what does Ans's everyday work look like as a partner, Zoho partner?
All right. Yeah, maybe I will try to talk about our team because Aziri is more than only Hans. But we as a team, we pretty almost get people that need a specific business solution. And they're looking at us because they know we are building business applications and we get like the context pretty quickly. I think one of our main advantages is that we really try to challenge this business need. Really, and I think in every conversation I have with a potential client is the question like, why should you build it custom? Why don't you use just standard software? And most of the time they have pretty good reasons why, but they never tell it. They need to get it clear in their head, like what's so specific about this solution that we can't find a solution on the internet that already exists. Or it is a very clever IT manager with a good vision on low code that also helps. But most of the time you need to challenge them, and we really try to think along with them. And then we are really good in like working the processes that the customer needs. So most of the time they are really good in explaining what the problem is, but they're not so good in telling what the solution should look like or should be. So they're saying like, for example, we have the problem that people have on a paper, they need to fill something in and that's going into their van or their bus. And then we need to get it on a desk of someone who is entering it in an Excel file. And then he needs to attach some photos he's getting from WhatsApp from this person and generate a PDF of this. And that's really taking a lot of time, and these papers never come to the office. That's an issue. But they are not, most of the time, not so good in telling like, oh, maybe it should be a good idea that we have a mobile app that people just can fill it in on their mobile app, send it on the office, we immediately see it. There's a big record that's assembling all the photos, all the audit trails, everything of this file. That's something we can help them with. And most of the time, then the solution is pretty easy for us. Sometimes we just can say like, oh, in a week or 2 weeks, we can make a solution for that. So I think that's one of our main advantages as a partner. We understand the business processes really good because we've done so many. And then we can pretty fast say like, okay, but then you need this. And we can finish that in X weeks, So
that's pretty cool. Would you be, if you don't mind, can you share like any of one of the solutions you've built on Creator for any of your customers that recently, or like that's something you started with? If you could share that would be really great.
I think one of the funniest or the greatest stories we had with Aziri is when we started with Creator like 4 years ago. We had this guy asking, he's placing swimming pools at houses. And he said like, I need an app. I always have the same questions that I need to ask to my clients. If we're gonna place a swimming pool, I need to see like, can we place the swimming pool behind the house? Can we go to with big machinery around the house, or do we need like a crane to pull it over? Things like that. And he said, like, I always need to ask them the same questions. It would be great if I have an app where I have these questions and I can fill them and it's automatically saved and pushed to the office so they know what they need to do. Because depending on the answers of the client, they need to, for example, order a crane on that day that they are replacing the swimming pool to pull the machinery above the house, things like that. And we started building that, and it was only 1 day development. So we said, like, oh, that's not that hard. We're gonna build it in 1 day. And we built it, and then he said, like, okay, nice, we are using it. Now I need this, and now I need that. And now we are like almost 4 years later, and now we built a complete ERP system of his complete business. So now it's really going from lead to quotes to projects, service, field service interventions, planning, invoicing, like the complete package is in there. And I think that's the proper way to do it, that you start small, you have like a quick win, you deliver on it, you see that it works, and then you start like processing on it, and it grows continuously. And now he's saying, like, oh, I'm like saving like 1 employee per year by this app, because all this paperwork, all these inefficient processes are solved by this app. And the funny thing is, he calls me almost every day, and if he has an issue in his company, his first reflex is to think, like, how we can solve this in the app. How can the app make sure that this problem never occurs again? And I think that's really great.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually. It has become a very integral part of his everyday work life, I guess. So, but
Yes.
that's something very similar. Like we've seen a lot of our customers as well, right? Like they always start with something very simple and then kind of build on top of it. And I think that's a really cool thing about it. That's something I like about Creator. That you can build anything small, and then you see what you can do with it and grow on it. But that's a really, really good story. Thanks, Hans. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and having this conversation with me. I hope a lot of people were benefited from it. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your insights and also your Zoho partner life. It was really fun for me. So thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
So this is part of our Creator Developers Month initiative. So we do have a bunch of things that is going to go live on our LinkedIn and other social media platforms. So keep an eye out for it. We have a couple more weeks of fun campaigns and initiatives that's going to be happening. So we will see you again with another session pretty soon. So thank you for joining, and thank you, Hans. We'll talk soon, and yeah, hope you all have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.